Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is tech.sam, and today we'll continue with 100 days of DevOps. Today is day 31, and today I just really want to address something that a lot of people overlook, but it is something that has been known to break production setups and really cause issues. And what is that? That is what I want to address today is image tagging. Yes, I want to address image tagging. So let me paint you a picture. So imagine that you have an application. Let's say the name of the application is my app. My app. You built an application. You're working with a team of you're working with a team of developers. You're the DevOps engineer, or you have like maybe 3 to 4 DevOps engineer working with a team of developers, and they've built the application and everything is fine, and then it's your turn to containerize and all of that we DevOps engineers do. And you decided, okay, the name of the app is my app, and then you wanted to tag the application. Normally, if you don't put a tag, let's say if you're building an image, like what we did yesterday, which is day 30, we rebuilt the image. We didn't include a tag, right? And once you don't do that, Docker will automatically assign a tag to that image, and the tag to be assigned is the latest tag. So whatever image you build, you don't assign the tag. Docker would assign a latest tag. Then if you don't understand, let me just, maybe this will be familiar. The command to build an image obviously is docker build -t. Then we used let me use my app. What we did yesterday was logger front end image, and this was the command we ran yesterday. But what happened under the hood? What happened under the hood was Docker did something like this. Latest. Docker did something like that. That is what actually happened, despite us not putting this. I'll prove that by going to the terminal and showing you when I do Docker images, you can see the tag. This is the column for tag, and you can see that what is showing here, latest, right? And despite when we built the image, we didn't include latest. So Docker does that by default because it believes that once you are using that same name, it means that you are building the latest image. So I hope you get my point now. So now you now wanted to, in your team, you wanted to build the image, and you didn't want to use latest. You used, let's assume we used version 1. Or okay, let me stick with latest. So you decided to use latest, and tomorrow an update was made on the application by your developers, and then unfortunately it wasn't routed to you. The request didn't come to you to rebuild the image. It was routed to your colleague, and then your colleague does the same thing and builds it. Obviously, the name of the app is my app, and your colleague also did not put anything with the my app. You just did docker build -t and then my app, and that's that. And then because of the nature of Docker, now Docker automatically appends the tag latest to it. All right. Everything is going fine and well until something happens. And then the new image that was pushed, there was a break in production. And then you were asked, as the DevOps engineer, you're responsible for rollbacks, right? You were now asked, okay, this particular image that was pushed, when they checked, they can only find my app with the latest tag, despite that so many people have worked on it, so many images have been built. When everybody has every image has the same tag, which is my app latest. Now, how do you guarantee which code was actually pushed? When they ask you, okay, who was the last person or what was the last code that was pushed to production? Or what was the last code? What's the code in this particular image? Can you be able to defend that? Even if you might be able to by going in and then executing it to the image and then running some commands to actually find the code, but that is, it's a long stress. It's a long stress. Okay, fine. Let's even say fine. You were able to go into the image. You could see the code that was that was dockerized and pushed to production. All right. So we need to roll back to a stable image. Let's say the image was used. Let's say last week Tuesday. So let's roll back to the image that was used last week Tuesday. How do you roll back? Because you only have one single version of this particular application, which is the latest version. Because when you use the same tag, Docker overwrites the previous version. So it doesn't keep different version of the same tag. What I mean is that the fact that you have my app with the latest tag, if someone should go now and do the same my app and latest, you will not find two my app with the latest tag on Docker Hub. I can show you, I can go to the Docker Hub website now. If I open any image, you will only see one latest tag. You will not find more than one. Because once you use the same tag for an image, it will write the previous tag to that image. So now you can't roll back because you don't have the previous version that was working. And this is very, very, very important. Now, what do? It becomes a big problem. And this is where image tagging becomes very, very, very important. This is very, very important in terms of releases, in terms of rollback. Even when you want to do your CI/CD, you need to tag your image properly. So this is not going to be like a very long talk. I just felt I needed to, address this. So now, how do you tag your image? There are various ways to actually tag, depending on, different companies have their own policies, right? There are some that you can say, okay, their tag is maybe this a major version, then let's say a minor version, and then a patch. You understand? You can have 1.2.7. You can have the latest tag. You cannot, if anybody now wants to maybe if anybody wants to now build another image, you cannot have my app. Then you can say, depends on what the person did. Maybe if it's just a bug fix, you can say maybe 1.2.8. So when you now check, you can see that, okay, 1.2.8 was what was deployed to the production environment. The last demo version was what? 1.2.7. Okay, let us roll back to the last demo version, which is 1.2.7, right? And this is how it works. Some companies prefer you tag the image according to the date that image was built. For example, you can say my app, and you can say 14th of February 2025. So you can do this, or you can even decide, okay, you want to space it. So whenever anybody comes, once they see, they already know without even thinking twice that this image was built on the 14th of February 2025. So if they say, okay, we need the image that was built, we need to roll back to the image that was built on the 14th of February. You don't have to start looking up and down. Once you go to your repository, either it's a private or a public repository, once you go to it, you will see the tags and you can choose. So let it not be like rocket science. Let's go to Docker Hub and we'll see this. So let's search for. Okay, so there's actually a project I've been working on, and okay, let me just search for. Let me talk about this. Let me go to let me use a common thing. Let's look at Nginx. Let's look at the official Docker image. Okay, I think I did something. Let's go back. Okay, now you can see different tags. If you look at, you can see different tags. That's 1.29.4 mainline. You can see Alpine. Now you can see that there's only one latest tag here. There is no, if you look through, you will not see any latest tag. That's because you can only have one latest. So different images or different tags contains different versions of an image. So that is how that is another way of implementing version control. You have different version of an image which you can deploy or you can roll back as you deem fit. Now, in an ideal environment, right? Here you're implementing CI/CD and all of that. One of the best ways to tag your image is with the git commit hash, right? What do I mean by git commit hash? If you come here, you would see this. This is the main tag. This is the SHA, right? This SHA is what actually gives the image the identity. Let me copy it. This is what actually gives the image its identity, right? Let me. So this SHA is like an identity for that particular image. So if we should pull a Jenkins an Nginx image rather, you're probably going to be pulling something like this. And what do I mean by git commit hash? When you commit to, you're working, maybe you're working with git version control, right? We've talked about it. Whenever you push an image, whenever you make a commit, or whenever the developer makes a commit or you need a commit, it always has an ID. You call it commit hash. It always has an ID. That ID it can be used to trace who actually did something. It can be used for audit purposes or for anything you want to use it for. Now, you can say, okay, you want the first 7 letters of this commit hash. You can just start with SHA and then the commit hash. Now, I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me go to this. All right. So this particular image, this is I'm working on a particular project, and if I click on it, you can see tags. On that tags, you can see SHA and a bunch of alphanumeric stuffs. So this A53 whatever is the commit hash of the last time I pushed, because I'm actually implementing CI/CD. So it is the last commit that I made to this particular GitHub repository. So it will take the first 7 characters and then it append it to SHA. So that way the image is tagged properly. You can be able to trace who made a change to this particular image. And also you can be able to roll back. You can see that I have version 1. I gave all the images started with version 1. And after version 1, we started implementing the proper image tag convention. So this is just something that I just wanted to touch, because it's very, very vital, and I feel like if I don't touch it, you may be missing out on a great deal. So it's not every time that you always tag an image as latest. Learn to increment best practices when working. The aim here is not just to tell you what and what. The aim here is to make sure that we are prepared for production like workload, production like setup. So we can't go around tagging our images with latest or version 1. Those are things that might cause an issue on the long run. But definitely we'll find ways to tag images that are recognizable or can be rolled back to. So I hope that you've gained one or two things from this particular short video. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.